Hello, hello. It's time for our bi-weekly treat. We have Norm Winski with us today. He's going to tell us all about what the stars and the planets have in store. Norm, it's all yours.
Thank you, Jeff. I thought since I was last on February 11th, I thought I'd review what I forecasted back then, and then we'll look into the future. So we had 5 points. So we had kind of a cluster between the 10th and the 12th of February. And we have these 5 points. There's 3 categories of planetary activity. You have geocentric, that's from the point of view of the Earth. You have heliocentric, that's from the point of view of the Sun. And then I use the what's called the U.S. natal chart. That's using where the planets were on July the 4th, 1776, when our country was founded. So here we go. Here's Saturn to U.S. Mercury. So that was there. Saturn is lining up with where Mercury was on July the 4th, 1776. So that you should look at. We look at U.S. financials, which are U.S. stocks, T-bonds, and the U.S. dollar. Then we have the afternoon of the 11th. We had a new moon in the sign of Aquarius, and we round up our usual suspects: financials, grains, precious metals, and because it's in Aquarius, we look at copper. And then we have the night of the 11th, Jupiter to the U.S. chart again. That's your U.S. financials. And then the night of the 12th, that was a weekend. We had Jupiter to the U.S. chart again, and we had 2 points there, so for the U.S. So now let's go look at what we had. So here's your moon here on the 11th for corn. And you see the afternoon of the 11th, and that was near a nice low there on the pullback low on the corn. Here's your beans doing pretty much the same thing on the 11th. Here's the wheat, was maybe even better in terms of an entry point, close to the bottom of the low of the day on the close. And here's your copper going sideways. We don't do sideways. It's Newton's law. For every action, there's an opposite equal reaction, and sideways only forecasts more sideways. So we don't do sideways. So if you get, that's very disappointing because I had a lot of things pointed to this market, but it ended up doing nothing on this as for a specific window. Bigger picture, which I usually don't do because we only get these kind of patterns maybe once in a decade where everything lined up in the sign of Aquarius back on around the 11th. It later broke out to the upside, and this has been a huge bull market in copper. Okay, all these charts, by the way, were done Sunday night on the 21st of February. There's silver going sideways, so I put the yellow bar there. We do nothing. There's gold. You're near the top there on the 10th. So that's potentially a valid signal, although it's getting on the borderline there of what kind of risk you'd want to take. But I'm going to count that. Here's the S&P going sideways again for the first two or 3 points. Then we had the weekend of the 12th, and that caught the high of the month right there on the opening of we had Monday, the 15th was a holiday, so we had to defer to the 16th, which was Tuesday, and right on the opening there, that was near the high of the month. Here's the bonds. I had a bounce and a big downtrend right into these 3 points here, and that was good, but then we had the points over the 12th weekend, and you might have been tempted to buy there, and that would have been a miss, so there we go. Here's the dollar, right? We have the 3 points here between the 10th and the 12th, and there we go. Those worked out okay. We kind of had a bounce here on the 12th, and then we went sideways over the weekend of the 12th and into the 15th, so we do nothing there. Here's the euro for your currency people. Rallied up strongly into the window there for the moon, for that was a new moon. And then we made a bit of a top there and down. Japanese yen was even nicer because it never really went much against you. And then it had to drop, and that was right on the moon. Here's your Swiss franc. Followed more of the euro pattern there, made a top there, dropped, came back up, and then had a bigger drop. All right, well, if you counted up the green arrows and the red arrows, we had 15 winners, 2 misses. That's 15 out of 17 for 88.24%. I showed you this chart last time, I believe. This was my planetary index chart, and I had this, and then we had this is what we have for this month. You can see that the blue line I did back in January, and you can see how things are going so far. And it's a pretty nice correlation there, like 85-90% maybe. And this is what it's saying for right now. Here's your days of the month. Here's the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. And it says we're just going to be probably in a kind of a sideways trading range here for the rest of the month. Maybe a little bit of a bounce into the end of the month, the last day of the month there on the 26th. And here's another forecasting type of model I do called fractals. We look at the price action for January. We extrapolate out for the entire year. Here's for 2020. I took the price action for January 2020 and used that to forecast the treasury bonds for the rest of the year. And then the black bars are the actual bond prices, and overlaid those on top of the blue bars, and you can see that worked amazingly well. And this all can be done very simply. Go like fractals. Fractals is a branch of the theoretical physics area of chaos. Put it simply, a pine tree is a fractal item in that the branches look like the tree, and the twigs look like the branches. And Elliott wave is a fractal system, where you have the same pattern repeating at different levels of order. So, and by the way, the reason I bring this up, the fractal thing up, is because this is the time of year when I publish a fractal forecast for 27 different markets. So that's now available for the rest of 2021. Here's what's coming up immediately. Here's what just happened this past weekend. I had 5 planetary points for this past weekend. We had Venus aphelion. That's Venus aphelion means, as Venus goes around, helion means sun, apha means afar. So as Venus goes around the sun, it's elliptical in its orbit. Therefore, there's a point where it's closest and a point where it's far, and that it was at its farthest point over this weekend. So that's a change in energy, and a change in the trend in the markets often brings a change in trend in the planets often means a change in trend in the markets. So we have copper. I think I showed you the copper market is up and way. It's in the rocket mode. I'll go back here to the rocket. Let's see if we can find it. I did put copper. There's copper. Copper had an unbelievable bull market here this past month, and up some more today. We're up. When I last looked, I was up to about 413, 415, something like that. And there we go. There's 417 on Sunday night. And so you might say it's getting to an extreme. That's what we like. We like these things to get to an extreme. At one of our planetary change in turn windows, then we have about a 75% chance that market will reverse. Let's go back here to our future now. So we had 2 things pointing at copper. If I can get back there now. There's the copper, Venus, and then Mercury in the sign Aquarius, which is also associated with copper. And so there we have that. So we have these markets now for the weekend: cattle, copper, cotton, stock, sugar, wheat. There's a copper, corn, and the grains, and stocks, and wheat, and so forth. So you might want to take a picture of this, if you could do a screenshot, and then you'll have what's coming and what just happened, and you go check these. Obviously, I didn't have time to do these. We're still kind of in progress here during today. But with these markets, if they're going to turn, they have to turn by tomorrow, or I'm going to count them as a miss. There we also had, over the weekend, we had 3 points, 3 points to the U.S. chart, which is U.S. financials, U.S. stocks, T-bonds, U.S. dollar. I think the stock market made a bit of a low here earlier today, and we should be holding these lows and probably go into some sort of trading range for the rest of the week is how I see it. If we take out those lows, then it could be a whole different ballgame, you know. Coming up here on the 22nd, that's tonight, we have a moderate point to the U.S. chart, and the U.S. financials plus, because of Neptune, watch the oil market. Then we also have the night of the 25th, we have Jupiter to the moon's north node, and that should be copper, silver, stocks. Then we have the full moon in Virgo, the weekend of the 26th, and that'll be your grains, and in particular soybeans, and stocks, of course, for everything, and your precious metals. And then we also have over that weekend Jupiter lined up in the U.S. chart for U.S. financials again. And then the night of March 1, the U.S. financials again. So that's the outlook coming up here for possible change in trend points. We like to see the markets indicated market get to an extreme at those windows. If they're going sideways, do nothing. Here's my contact information. I do classes every month, the first week of the month. So if you get a hold of me right away, we might be able to get into a class and tell you about, you've got a fractal class, I got the Astro day trading class and swing trading classes and so forth. So here's how you get a hold of me. I'm in beautiful sunny Naples, Florida. My phone 239-594-3939. And Winski, Bark with a Q in the middle, mail.com. And there's my Skype, and Winski_1. Looking forward to helping some of your folks, Jeff. Have a great day. Call me right away.
Okay, Norm, I think you've been very consistent, over 80% accuracy, which is terrific. And the fact that you would offer people a free class, I mean, you can't get cheaper than that, right? You're not going to pay anyone to take it.
I might want a discount.
Yeah. Okay, Norm, thanks ever so much. We'll see you back in March, and we'll see if you're right about copper making a high and stocks making a low. I'll be looking at that.
All right, thanks a lot. Take care.
Okay, bye.